51% of the world will be overweight or obese by 2035, with chronic diseases projected to go up by 99.5% in people over 50 in 2050. And all of this is coming down to being overweight and obese. All of these are causing chronic diseases, but many people are losing hundreds and hundreds of pounds, saving themselves and their loved ones. So if you clicked on this video, it's because you want to lose weight. So attention, we're gonna be going over exactly what you can do to lose weight. And don't worry, I'm not gonna sell you a course or an ebook, anything like that into this course. It's all free content that's worked, and I'm gonna give it to you guys. Weight loss like this is happening globally. You have people that are having transformations and natural transformations. I have friends of my own going through transformations themselves. And I'm gonna be 100% transparent. I'm not here to get you ripped. I'm here to get you to your healthy, happy self again. Remember the days where you didn't have to worry about looking overweight, when your clothes were more fitting loosely, you can go out to the beach without shame? Well, we're gonna address all of that in this video. The information I've learned and shared with others is not a guarantee that you too can lose weight doing these specific things, but I can guarantee you that it's rooted and backed in science and that it can work, because I've had so many people go through this and lose weight. And it's what's worked for millions over the centuries. So for those of you who don't know, hi, I'm Kartik. I'm a medical student. I'm in my third year, and I am very interested in learning about how we can help our populations lose the chronic obesity and the overweight that they have so they can get back to their healthy and happy selves. So people have been using plenty of diets that are wasting your time, money, and happiness, and it all is bringing them down. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can start losing weight today. Statistically, over 95% of the diets out there fail. And they're all viable diets. It's not because they're made wrong or not the right type of diet. They're all viable and they all work. Diets like keto, diets in low fat, carnivore diet, vegan diet, and the fasting diets. They all are amazing, but they're not built for long-term adherence. For example, the calorie deficient diet is great for short-term loss, especially for people trying to lose like 5 to 15 pounds. It's great. But for those people like trying to lose 50 plus pounds, it doesn't really work. It gives you those short-term gains, but then your body starts adapting. The metabolism adapts to burning less calories so that it can survive, and you stop burning all that fat that you had. And in essence, you become stuck. I'm sure many of you have felt like this as well. When you're doing this cutting calories and you're doing it for a long period of time and you're trying to lose a lot of weight, it doesn't work after a long time. It stops working after like a couple of months. And this is the problem. These diets aren't built for long-term adherence. People can stick with them, but they stop seeing results, so they lose motivation and it stops working. It's like a bunch of different factors. So that's why these diets don't work, because they work in the short term, but then long-term wise, they kind of stop working. And then on top of that, you start losing motivation because you won't see any difference. Sound familiar? Well, this is why a lot of diets aren't working. But if you're interested in losing weight, then you gotta stick for the next 20 minutes. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna tell you guys how you can start losing weight in the short and long term without losing the progress. So if you're not willing to stick for 20-ish minutes, well, then this video is not for you. But those of you who are really interested in losing weight, stay tuned. Here's why what I'm going to tell you is going to work. It uses science to lose the weight. It's not based on some bro science. It's not based on some myths. It's not based on random stuff. It's based in science. Number 2, it works with your life regardless how busy you are. I've had plenty of people and a lot of my friends who are really busy, but they are losing great weight. And number 3, once you start seeing results, you're going to want to stick to it and long-term adherence will be achieved. So without further ado, let's get into it. What exactly causes weight gain? Is it calories? Is it carbs? Is it lack of exercise? Sure, all of these are true to an extent, but scientifically, it's actually insulin. So what exactly is insulin? Well, insulin is a hormone that controls our blood sugars, and it stores those sugars as fat when we don't need them. So it would make sense that if you have excess insulin, and you would be storing a lot of sugar as fat. Now, normal amounts of insulin is great. It balances the sugar within our bodies. But when you have excess amount of insulin, you're gonna have more fat. And I'm gonna prove you that in just a couple slides. So in studies between obese and normal people, you have graphs showing a relationship in the insulin spikes. So you can see obese people have a way higher insulin level versus lean people who do not have such a high insulin level. And people who use insulin for diabetes type 2, it's a known side effect that it causes excess fat gain. It's a known thing. Doctors tell you this when they're prescribing you this. They expect you to gain some weight. And people who have diabetes type 1, which I won't go into the detailed science, but basically your body can't produce insulin. So you don't have any insulin, that's why you have excess sugars in your body. But these people are super skinny. They're like chronically skinny. And this is because they don't have any insulin at all. So I'll go over a study to prove this. In 1998, a study took people who have diabetes type 2, which have insulin resistance. They took those people and they split them up into 3 different groups. One were given the standard treatment that everyone gets prescribed. And then the second group got treated with sulfonylureas, which is a medication which enhances your insulin production, and group 3 got treated with high dose insulin. So the sulfonylurea group, the one with the fancy weird name drug, it actually increased people's weight 6.8 more pounds on average than a normal standard treatment. Now keep this in mind too. The people with the high dose insulin treatment gained over 9 pounds on average more than the standard treatment group. That goes to show you insulin production is correlated with fat gain. Let me repeat that. Insulin production is correlated with fat gain. This has been proven in studies. There are studies, you can look this up. It is a proven fact. So now begs the question, how can you lower your insulin levels? Well, here's another caveat. Weight loss is not just all about insulin itself. Weight loss needs to be attacked from every angle. And what we mentioned earlier about the calories, the carbs, the processed foods, all that stuff, that's all gonna be addressed. So without further ado, I'll go over 7 steps on how you can start losing weight now. So number 1 is intermittent fasting. Now, this is one of the best ways to keep your food intake low. Now, traditional intermittent fasting geeks all are doing like 16-hour fast. You gotta eat in an 8-hour window. You can do that, that's great. Or you can be more chill. Myself, I did like a 12-hour fast, a 14-hour fast, and then the remaining hours I ate throughout that time. And it still works because around after 12 hours, your body runs out of storage and it starts burning its fat. On top of this, the point of intermittent fasting is to create habits where you're not eating as much. So having like a period of 12 hours is pretty easy because you sleep 7 to 8 hours, hopefully, and the next 4 hours, you can either not be eating in the morning or you can eat your dinner early and have a break before you sleep. So it's easy to adhere to your personal type of intermittent fasting style, but if you want to go all in, go for it. 16 hours is a great way to get that fasting done. And it really works, not just because of the science part, but just think of this. If you're gonna be eating in a less amount of time, you're gonna be having less food. And when you're putting less food into your body, your insulin levels don't spike that much, and you're putting less calories into your body as well. So you can tailor this diet. You don't have to do all day fast. It's very tailorable. And I've done modified intermittent fasting diets and they've worked. So I can tell you this does work. You're getting less calories, which helps you with short-term fat loss, and then you're getting less insulin levels, which helps you with long-term fat loss. Number 2, no snacking. Now this kind of relates to the intermittent fasting, but this is a big part in itself. And you can start doing this now. Snacking increases our insulin levels, increases our calories throughout the day. If you're having like 3 snacks plus your meals, you're increasing all that blood sugar levels, you're increasing your calories, and your body's not being able to rest and digest. So if you cut out the snacking, you're gonna have less food, which is less calories, which is less insulin, which equals weight loss. And most snacks that we eat are pretty much processed food that are junk. So we can eliminate all those. But let's put that all aside for a sec. I understand some of you really want to snack, it's part of how you live, it's part of how you relax, how you enjoy, decreases your stress levels, and that makes sense. I get it. So for those of you out there, change your snacks. Let's change from eating salty chips to having some salty roasted nuts. From going from French fries to some homemade natural popcorn. From going from ice cream to some plain yogurt with some fruit. There are plenty of healthy alternatives to the snacks you're currently eating. And if you're gonna eat snacks, it's better to eat these normal, natural foods, which won't be spiking your calories and insulin levels as high as the processed counterparts. Number 3, this is a big one too. Consuming less sugary foods and drinks. This is huge. If you drink soda on a daily basis, you can cut that out. And that by itself make a huge difference in your weight, huge difference in your mood, huge difference in your life. They are bound to increase your insulin calorie levels, and so you're gonna gain more fat. They have no use for daily consumption. We don't need that much sugar. There is no excuse, no like actual scientific evidence that you need 40, 50, 60 grams of added sugar to your diet at all. And this is just not for sodas, fruit juices, your fancy coffees from Starbucks, your wines. A lot of them have a lot of added sugar. And a couple weeks off, I'm telling you, just a couple weeks off can make a huge difference. You'll have less acne, you'll start seeing some fat melt off, and you'll feel so much better. And try alternatives as you transition from these super sugary ones to less sugary items. For example, you can have Olipop, you can have zero sugar yogurt, you can have beer instead of wine. And this transition is vital for making habits. Now, this just not goes for this slide, but every slide. All of these changes aren't gonna be made drastically at one point in time. You're gonna slowly transition off them. So going to stuff that maybe uses artificial sugars for a little bit is probably better than going from full sugars to no sugars and then relapsing and going back to that old diet. You gotta slowly transition and make these habits. So using these foods like the Olipops, the zero sugar yogurts, and the zero sugar wines, all that type of stuff will really help you transition off that sugary taste to adapt yourself to less sugar. Tip number 4, eating more natural foods. Fiber-filled foods are made by nature, so they lower our blood sugar content. For example, in fruits, they're filled with fiber and they're filled with sugar, but that fiber maintains all that sugar within it that gets slowly released within the body when you eat it. But when you make it into juice, take all that fiber out, you're just left with a bunch of sugar that's from the fruit. And that just makes it full of sugar that tastes good because it gets dumped into your body and your blood glucose goes up, insulin goes up, all that stuff goes up. So natural foods actually are meant so that your body doesn't have blood sugar spikes. And these fake ingredients are causing huge spikes and inflammatory reactions in our bodies, like seed oils, corn syrups, the big words that people talk about that are catchy phrases, all that stuff. It's not really good for us. And it's making us more fat, and that in correlation leads to more diseases. And eating more natural foods will allow your body to adapt and then start lowering your weight. You will start seeing fat melt off. Your body will be like, oh wow, like I don't need to store all this fat because these weird chemicals were making me store it. It's like eating its natural food and then it starts adapting back to its normal natural state. You'll start to feel more better. You'll be a better feeling person. You'll be a better person. Instead of eating hot dogs, bacon, have some chicken, fish, some steak even. Have less Doritos, have less Oreos, more nuts, fruit, etc. Healthy fats promote the least insulin level increases, like olive oil and avocados. These are great to eat and super healthy for us. And before all you guys come at me for mentioning steak, studies nowadays prove that saturated fats aren't a cause for cardiovascular disease as was previously thought. So all this war on saturated fats isn't the main problem. It's all the processed foods. So eating these full of saturated fat meats and foods in moderation, not all the time, but in moderation, is totally okay. So next tip, consuming less food than usual. Now this tip sounds pretty generic, but it's very effective. Less calories in equals weight loss in the short term, as we talked about. So it's still vital to eat less than you normally do. Calories aren't the end goal, but they're still part of the equation. So eating less food equals short-term weight loss, but long-term stagnation. And you won't be storing as much fat. You'll start slimming down, and if you combine this with all the previous factors we mentioned and the ones we're going to mention, you're gonna lose a lot of fat. Bodybuilders lose this all the time to cut. They just look at their calories. They don't really look at too many other things. They look at the macros, protein, fat, carbs, and how many calories there are. But keep in mind, bodybuilders, they're pretty fit. They're not dealing with obesity and being super overweight with chronic diseases. They're fit people that only need to focus on a few things. But for everyone else, we need to focus on the whole picture. And calories are just part of it, but they're still very crucial. Move more. Diet makes 95% of weight loss, but that 5% is still very crucial. I have friends of mine who said one of the most important changes they made was they started working out. That's it. Now these people were sedentary people who had a decent diet, not super unhealthy, not super healthy, but they were overweight. Then they started working out consistently you'll be burning more calories than normal, which is gonna lead to more weight loss. And if you're doing weights or you're pushing yourself where you start building more muscle, your body's gonna consume more calories just naturally, because the more muscle you have, the more calories it's gonna consume just resting. On top of that, your insulin's gonna be controlled better because muscle takes in insulin so it can take the glucose so it can function better. So the bigger your muscles are, you're gonna have less insulin problems and you're gonna have less fat problems. And your body will just be more healthy, protecting you from future diseases. It's shown that people who exercise are way healthier than people who do not exercise. It makes such a difference that people who smoke, drink super routinely, but they exercise a lot too, live longer lives than people who don't do any of the bad stuff and they don't do any exercise. That's how much of a profound difference exercise can make. And exercises can just be walking around the block, dancing at home, standing at a desk. You can do martial arts. You can do anything you like. You only have to do 20 minutes. One of my friends who lost over 40 pounds, he said that for his weight loss journey, he just wanted to be consistent for 15 minutes a day of working out. And that by itself was the biggest change he made to his whole life, leading to 40 pounds of weight loss. I'm telling you, if you're not used to doing any form of exercise, consistently adding in a little bit of exercise will make a big lifetime difference. In our final tip, make this a priority. And if you don't make it a priority, you're not gonna succeed. Weight loss is not a short-term fad, it's a lifestyle. But it's a lifestyle that will lead to a healthier, happier, and longer life. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Don't you want to live longer and happier with your family, with your friends, cherish the good times of life? And on top of this, you're going to influence your family and friends. If they're dealing with the same problems, they can look at you and be like, wow, look at how much weight he's lost. Look at how happier he is. Look at how happy she is. Like, all of this is an inspiration for other people. And every one person that makes this change to a healthier lifestyle can affect so many countless people that you don't even know. It makes such a profound difference and is helping humanity by inspiration. And to make weight loss to the best of your ability, do all the steps we mentioned in this presentation. Do them all, and you can tailor them all to your lifestyle. You don't have to do the full intermittent fasting style fasts. You can have them less. You can snack still, but have healthier snacks. You know, this is all versatile. It adapts to your lifestyle, and then you will lose weight. This is proven. I've had many people go through this. These are very simple steps we talked about. Some of them might have even seemed super basic, but they're often neglected. You gotta pay attention to everything in the equation, and small daily changes make a big difference in the end goal. Knowing how much you eat on a normal basis and then cutting down by keeping in mind, okay, I used to have a Big Mac, fries, and Coke. Okay, I'm gonna cut out the fries, just a Big Mac and a Coke. You know, cutting down slowly is the way to go, because the next time you go to McDonald's, you might even cut out the Coke. You might just have a Big Mac. It's all about these small changes and keeping in mind what you used to do and where you want to go and what changes you have to do along the timeline. Weight loss is just like any other disease. Weight loss is not about attacking it from one angle. It's about attacking it from every angle. Obesity is just like any other disease. You can't just treat one side of it and expect all of it to go away. You gotta attack it from every single angle. Insulin, blood sugars, calories, movement, sleep. All of this are very important so that you can start losing weight. These are things from the past. They didn't have excess sugar back then. It was rare to have added sugars in foods. They weren't sedentary. They worked all the time. They were moving around. They didn't always have food to eat. Sometimes they'd have one meal a day because people were lucky to have gathered food. And there were no such thing as processed foods back in the day. And for us to kind of get back to this older lifestyle, eating sugary stuff in moderation is key. There's natural sugars and fruits. There are nature's candy. And we can start moving in our office, school. We can use standing desks, we can use walking pad. There's many ways to move, even if you have a sedentary type of job. And we can cut back on the snacks and the amount of food we eat. Stopping that insulin levels, stopping the calorie levels, maintaining our inner homeostasis, and trying to eat as natural as we can. And I know all the stuff I mentioned, it's hard in today's society. Everywhere we look, it looks like there's added sugars, all looks processed. It's hard to move, but every little change you make makes a difference. And it's all about making these small changes over time that will lead to massive, massive weight loss. Again, weight loss is not a short-term fad, it's a lifestyle. So let's do this. Let's get healthier, Let's get happier and let's lose this weight. I've done it, my friends have done it, and you can do it too. For more questions, DM me or comment below, and please subscribe below. It means a lot to me for those of you guys who subscribe, and I have plenty of good content all the way. Soon upcoming, I'm gonna be having an interview with one of my friends who lost over 40 pounds, and we're gonna dive deep into what he did and how you too can lose weight. Thank you guys for watching. Stay healthy and stay happy. Bye.